Here we are again, talking about solutions, perspectives, cognitive processes, thoughts, the way we can express ourselves, the way we can demonstrate to those in our life that we are fair and just. Hetepu, peace and blessings, and welcome once again. One of the first things that we can do is in our interaction with our family members. And if you notice, I keep focusing on the family. I keep focusing on the relationships within the family. Because as a therapist, what I have found and what has been found through the whole psychological field is that if things go right in your life, in those formative years, there's 14 years rather, then you find that that person throughout their adulthood, they're more balanced. Some of the things, the virtues, some of these qualities that I am talking about will be more present in their makeup and how they interact with others. 14 years, essentially to lay a foundation, might seem like a long time, but it isn't. Especially when you compare it to adulthood. When people are living into their 60s and 70s rather, 14 years to be prepared to live that long and to have a good life with those around you really isn't that long. So I say to you mothers and fathers, you husbands and wives who have children and yet to have children, the most important job, the most important work that you will ever do in your life is to raise a human being. We are not sent to school. We are not guided, especially in these quote unquote modern societies. We're not nurtured on the keys of how to successfully raise a child. We're taught how to go to school and get a degree and make a living, but we are not taught to do the most important job in the world. I say it should be required that when you start in middle school, that the basic foundations should begin to be given to you. Today, many schools are incorporating meditation, mindfulness with children in order to maintain a better balance and peaceful interactions in classrooms. I've also been a teacher, and I can tell you it is very difficult to teach and for children to learn when you are essentially in a room that is like an animal zoo. Children who do not listen, children who have ADD and ADHD through no fault of their own. But what I am saying is we need to begin to start grooming our children globally to understand that there are other ways and other choices to interact with each other. So to the matter of justice, number one, seek to treat others as you want to be treated. Kindness, if you want that, then be kind. If you want love, then demonstrate being loving. Don't talk about love, because love is not just simply a word. It is not just a noun. It is also a verb. Kindness is not a word. It is a verb. You must demonstrate it. Nature shows us, and I'm using children a lot at this point because children are the platform, right? That shows us how the society in the future will go, how the future generation will develop. The families that nurture children based on truth and treating each other are more successful than the ones that do not. The great Yi King in the 37th hexagram called the family says, the family is society in embryo, meaning that as a society goes, is reflected in how the families are nurtured. If the families are not well, then the society becomes broken. Because the collective of malnurturance or bad concepts, then you can see it elevated in the society, and that can be destructive. Treat your children equally. Do not look at a bright child and say you prefer them over the child who may not be as academically gifted. They have other gifts. Find them. Nurture them on that. Build their self-esteem. We all have gifts, and it is the responsibility of the parent to find it and to nurture those children accordingly. Number 3, weigh your words. Weigh your words before speaking. If you are not, as I said before, engaged in a matter firsthand, not secondhand, not third hand, as we call it, that's how the gossip gets around, then do not have anything to say because you do not know. To know how a situation has gone requires that you are there, that you are able to understand the intricacies of that situation and can relate it in a proper manner. Not your feeling, not your supposition, not hearsay, but because you were there. That will take a lot of stress out of your life and make you a more trustworthy, fair person in the eyes of your family members and others. They will come to you in order to resolve issues. Envy and jealousy. A perspective. Understand that you have gifts and talents. When you are envious or jealous of another person, then it means that you are saying that the Creator that made you made a mistake. That what the gifts that you have are not enough. Every one of us have earned the gifts that we have justly. You don't have a gift that you did not work for. Why would you want the gift of somebody else that they worked for? And why would you want to take it away? When you do that, express or do jealousy and envy, you're flying in the face of God. Number 5, the fallacy that you are better than others. Remember this: false pride, exaggerating your importance, is something that really is beneath all of us. Because you have more money, more material things, or whatever than another person, doesn't mean you're better. The doctor, the lawyer, the teacher, the space rocket scientist is no better than the man who cleans the floor or takes out the garbage or sweeps or, is a plumber. All of the things that I am saying to you here is that you're talking about professions, the things we do to earn a living. That is not who we are. We are created omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent in the eyes of God. Every one of us are equal. Some of us may be able to manifest our gifts in stronger ways, but that doesn't make us better than the other person who's striving to manifest and let their light shine. When we do this, when we go beyond and we begin to put ourselves in a position where we exalt ourselves, we are saying that we don't know who we are. Because when we can no longer have that career, what does that mean? Okay? All of our talents, all of our gifts, all of our careers, whatever, are simply platforms stepping stones to help us to fulfill the destiny, the purpose of why we are on earth. We have to fulfill that before we return to wherever it is that we came from. So remember, none of us is better than the other just because of anything we have that is materially abundant or materially deficient. And lastly, remember that the higher we climb, believing ourselves to be better than others is an illusion. The cosmic order will always conspire to help us remember who we are. Sometimes it requires that we fall. Such has been the outcome of dictators, personalities in families, too overbearing, the patriarch, the matriarch, the heavy hand, the bullying husband or the bullying wife, the public officials, the kingships, and the presidencies. Think about that. I am sure there is much food for thought in that, and we could all relate to some of that in our lives. Number 7, speak out against injustices, large or small. Whether they're in your intimate relationship, whether you see it in your immediate family, whether you see it in your community, whether you see it nationally in your country, or whether you see it in the world. By doing so, you become a child of Ma'at. You become one who is walking the path of justice. And when you are just, then justice is what will happen in your life. When you are unjust, then injustices will happen, or can happen rather, in your life. And remember, we do not just simply live for ourselves. We live every single day for all of those who are connected to us and the future generations. When you do that which is right, when you treat others with positive regard, when you see in others the I am because we are, then I am saying to you, you are walking more closely to that Ma'atian path. Your understanding of striving to become a superior human being is something that you will begin to understand more deeply. The other thing to also remember is that if you are not manifesting justice today, you can take that injustice that you see within yourself or lack of fairness into meditation. You can write down your own wisdom seeds and sit for several days or weeks and find a new way to bring light into your own spirit and your psyche. And then you too can become a gift to the world. Thanks for listening. Peace and blessings, everyone. Hetepu.